Hi, my name's Randelle. Welcome to my home practice called Threes. Come to a tall seat, settle in with closed eyes, with dropped shoulders and lifted heart. Ground down into intention and into your breath. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Sigh out from your mouth all the way down to the depth of your belly. Again, just like that, deep breath in. And sigh your breath out. Exhale. And as you settle into your practice, settle into the memory of all that you've come through to come here today. All the struggles that you've encountered, all the obstacles that have inhibited your path. And recognize that in stepping into your yoga path, it doesn't mean it's a free and clear path to move along, but it's a path in which you'll encounter struggles and you'll encounter setbacks. But they're not there by chance. They're there to be teachers. They're there for us to learn more about who we are beneath the turmoil of it all. They're there for us to be brought from a place of darkness gradually into a brighter sense of light and a brighter sense of self. Keeping with that intention, climb onto hands and knees for a tabletop position and start to move through cat-cow. So as you move through cat-cow, bring length into your movement and length into your breath. So the breath and the body synchronize together. So the waves of the breath and the body move as one. Bring sound into your breath by closing off the throat back. Just enough that the breath is better controlled, like a valve, working to stretch out the inhale and the exhale. Coming back to a tabletop position, rest your hips back onto your heels with your feet tucked under, child's pose, and feel the bottoms of your feet stretching open. Feel the weight of your hips, feel the weight of your head. Take a deep breath in and sigh breath out. From there, ride forward into a kneeling plank pose and exhale, lower down onto your belly. With strong legs, peel your chest from the floor, cobra pose, inhale. And exhale, bring your chest back down. Tuck under your feet, press to kneeling plank. And exhale, hips back to heels, child's pose. Now breathe in, rise onto your knees, reach your hands into the sky. And exhale, hands to heart center. Arms reach up again, breathe in. And exhale, bow down to child's pose, hands reach forward, hips heavy. Inhale brings you back to kneeling plank from the belly. Exhale, bring your chest down to floor. With strong legs, peel up cobra again, bhujangasana. And exhale, chest to floor mat. Feet tuck under, press to plank, kneeling plank, inhale. And child's pose, exhale. Stand onto the knees again, raise your arms, breathe in. And exhale, hands down to heart center. Arms rise, inhale. Bow into child's pose as you exhale. Forward to kneeling plank, breathe in. Slow descend down, chest to mat. Cobra inhalation, strong legs. Chest down, exhale. Tuck under feet, kneeling plank, breathe in. And child's pose, breathe out. Rise one last time, hands up, stand up onto knees. Exhale, hands to heart. Reach up, breathe in. And forward fold, bow, child's pose, exhale. Ride to plank pose. Raise your hips, downward facing dog. In your downward dog, let the legs walk out, bending one knee and then the other. Allowing the hamstrings to happily join you in your practice, and feel a pressing down of all of your fingers, a broadening of your shoulder blades, and a firmness across the low ribs, upper abdominals. Work both heels heavy towards the floor. Take a deep breath in and sigh your breath out. Very deliberately walk your hands to the back of the mat so that you can fold over your legs. Let them be bent enough that there's no strain in the hamstrings or the low back. And then take your arms into ragdoll, so hands grip into opposite elbow creases, and the box shape of the arms helps to tug down with gravity on your whole upper body. Even let your head hang so the muscles surrounding the cervical spine start to soften. You can be still or you can be swaying side to side, forward and back. Release your hands down and then slowly peel up to stand, stacking your bones until you reach Tadasana. Raise your arms to the sky, breathe in. Hands to heart center, breathe out. Again, like that, raise up, inhale. And exhale, hands down through heart center, moving with breath. Reach arms above your head, inhale. And forward fold on your exhale, all the way, Uttanasana. Half raise the spine, inhale. Rewalk your hands forward, downward facing dog, exhale. From downward dog, right forward plank pose. Have the shoulder blades on the back, inner elbows spun forward. Lower your knees, exhale. Breathe in, bend your elbows not past 90 degrees, and then raise your knees, chaturanga. Upward dog, inhale. And downward facing dog. Use the core for that. Let's go through that again. Ride forward, plank pose, inhale. Just the knees settle, exhale. Breathe in. Bend your elbows, breathe out. Kneeling chaturanga to chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog, straighten arms, raise your chest. And downward facing dog, breathe out. One last time. Inhale, ride forward plank. Kneeling plank, breathe out. Hold, inhale. Bend your elbows, kneeling chaturanga to chaturanga. Raise the knees and then raise your chest, upward dog. Downward facing dog, exhale. Take a deep breath in. Sigh your breath out. With the heels lifted high, walk on your toes with your butt in the sky. Bring your feet forward to the top of the mat. And once there, fold down. Half lift, and then rise all the way up to stand. Hands to the sky, and then hands to heart center. Inhale, raise your arms above your head. Forward fold, exhale your breath. Halfway lift, inhale. Set down your fingers, step right toes to the far back end of your mat, runner's lunge. Feel the legs pull underneath the pelvis. Exhale, step back, downward dog. Come forward to plank pose, inhale, grip with fingers. Chaturanga, kneeling or not. Raise your chest, upward dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your right foot to the sky, breathe in. Place the right foot between the hands, breathe out. Bring down your back knee, take your hands into the air, kneeling lunge, firm core, long breath. Exhale, hands to the top of the mat, step there and fold there. Uttanasana. Inhale, reverse swan dive, stand up, reach up, and exhale, bring your hands down to heart. Raise your arms again, breathe in. Forward folding as you breathe out. Rise up halfway, lengthen spine, inhale. With fingers down, place left toes to the back end of the mat, exhale. Hold there for runner's lunge, chest reaches forward, breathe in. Deliberate step back, breathe out, down dog. Coming into plank pose, breathe in. Slow descend, chaturanga. Upward dog. Downward facing dog. Left foot lifts, breathe in. Place your left foot forward quietly, breathe out. With right knee down, rise, kneeling lunge, inhale. Hands forward, step forward and fold, exhale. Take a half lift to breathe in and fold again as you breathe out. Reverse swan dive, stand up, reach up, and exhale, settle the hips into chair pose. Have your feet and knees equally spaced. Pull the belly in, ungrip your toes. Feed your muscles of the legs, which are working hard for you, feed them with your breath. And then take your hands behind you, keep the shape of the body, lace up your fingers, and then crack your heart open like cobra pose. With open heart, bow down, hips up, and let the hands start to work forward. Feeling a stretch across the shoulder heads and across the chest. If your feet aren't spaced to pelvis width yet, go ahead and space them there now. And then bend generously into your right knee and work your right ribs, perhaps to lay on top of your thigh. And then holding your left leg quite straight and strong, turn your chest towards the left. And I know for me, I feel something really interesting happen in my left hip here. Linger as long as you like before changing sides, straightening right leg and then bending left knee. Let the arms fall diagonally towards the left, the chest towards the right. Ease back to center, hands release down to the ground. Half lift, inhale. Step your right toes to the back of the mat, exhale, runner's lunge. And pushing down with your left big toe mound, inhale to straighten your left leg. Pyramid pose, have your right heel high on the back toes, the butt up in the sky. And either stay there or inhale, ride forward to runner's lunge, bending front knee, sinking the hips down. And exhale, relift the hips to bow, pyramid pose. Breathe in, back to runner's lunge, chest goes forward. And exhale, ease the hips up, opening the hamstring again. Hold here for a moment. Sigh out. Inhale, rebend your front knee. And exhale, step back, downward facing dog. Plank pose on your inhale. Slow chaturanga exhale. Upward dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Raise your right foot, breathe in. Bend your knee and roll your hip up and open without swaying your low back. So hold in the low rib cage. Hold down the shoulders level. On your exhale, take your right knee out to the side of your right upper arm. Touch. Back and up. Inhale. Slow motion movement. Exhale. Right knee to left upper arm. Touch. Back and up. Inhale. And then knee in towards your nose. Round your back and step your right foot forward. Rise to high lunge pose. Inhale your breath. As you exhale, press your arms down by your side. Bend the left knee to hover. Rise again. Inhale. Arms up. Press your arms down. Keep them strong. Hover left knee. Exhale. Again, rise up. Inhale. Last time with control. Sink down the left knee. Sink down the arms. Shoulder blades back. And rise up. Inhale. Breath. High lunge. On your exhale, slow turn to warrior two. The left foot settles sideways. Send the inner ankle out so the outer edge of your left foot is squeezing into the floor mat. Bring down the low ribs. So the distance between ribs and pubic bones shortens. The spine is as upright as you can make it. And while squeezing your right knee open, reach forward, prop your forearm to your thigh, or take your fingers to the block or to the floor. Side angle pose. So as you hold side angle, roll your right hip underneath your body and pull it back towards the left inner thigh. And feel that the left side of your body is making one long diagonal line from heel to hip to shoulder to fingertip. Be breathing as you hold this strong pose. On your exhale, settle your hands to the floor for lizard lunge. So lower the left knee and step your right foot off to the side so both hands have space to fall underneath their shoulders inside of the right leg. And you can either hold the left knee to the floor or raise it up off of the mat. Either way, keep squeezing right knee up against your arm. Keep squeezing your belly into your backbone so you're not riding on the wrist so hard. The legs are standing in for support. Now coming up to tented fingers, turn your right foot out diagonally and then gracefully step left foot outside of left pinky. Squat down in Malasana. So the knees and the toes are bent and turned out in the same direction. Pull in the belly and bring the shoulders back so they're stacking as well as you can. Shoulders on top of hips, head up into the sky. Either drop your gaze or close your eyes. Slow the breath. Slow the mind. On your next exhale, fold yourself forward, raise your hips, and walk your feet back to parallel, pelvis width apart. In your forward fold, bend your knees enough that you can measure 2 fist width of distance between your feet, and then take your peace fingers and hook them around your big toes. Use your arms to pull your lung back down towards the floor, bringing traction into the spinal bones. So this is done without feeling any obligation to straighten your legs. Straightening of the legs will come over time, but don't be forceful with that. Release Padangustasana, toes away from fingers, and then inhale, hands up, stand up. Exhale, hands down to heart center. Breathe in to reach your hands into the sky. Breathe out to hinge forward, fold down. Half lift, inhale your breath, make the back long. Keep that length, step your left toes to the rear of the mat. Runner's lunge. Good. From tented fingers, pull your right leg straight as you can make it. It will tell you when to stop. Pyramid pose. Remember, you can stay in this shape or ride forward on the inhale. Runner's lunge, bending front knee, sinking hips. Exhale, raise your hips and bow. Pyramid pose. Again, come forward. Runner's lunge, breathe in and raise the hips and bow. Pyramid shape your body. Breathe out. Good. Rebend your front knee. Inhale. Step back. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Bring yourself to plank pose. Inhale. Firm belly. Slow lower. Chaturanga to upward dog on the inhale. And downward dog. Exhale. Raise your left foot on the inhalation. Bend your knee. Roll your hip up and open. Work down your left shoulder, up your right shoulder so the two remain square. The belly is somewhat engaged, supporting the back. And exhale, take your knee out to the left into the upper left arm. Back and up, inhale. Exhale, knee crosses to right upper arm. Back and up, inhale. Now knee down the pipe to your nose. Without scuffing your mat, step your left foot forward. Pull your left hip in and back and rise up. High lunge pose. On your exhale, press your arms down and hover your right knee close to the floor mat. Feel the quadriceps stretch and work. Rise, inhale, hands to sky, high lunge. And exhale, sink down. Come up, breathe in. Last time, sink down as you breathe out. Rise up, inhale. Front foot stays sturdy. Warrior 2, turn the right foot sideways. Good. Feel a little weightiness in the tailbone, not to tuck it under, but just to lengthen the low back and pin your low ribs into your body. From Warrior 2, reach forward with your torso with your left arm. Prop your forearm either to your thigh lightly or start working your hand down your shin or to the floor. And either reach the right hand up for side angle or take it into extension, reaching right hand towards the front wall. Brace the low ribs in and then turn your entire torso higher up towards the ceiling. So the right ribs roll up towards the sky. The left hip rolls down and under, holding you from below. Stay steady with breath. Then exhale, right hand to the floor, lizard lunge. Just square the hips forward. Sidestep the left foot, make space for your palms. The right knee stays on the ground or raise it. And remember, left leg clamps hard against your arm so it feels like the femur bone, the thigh bone, is being gripped by your glutes and pulled back into your hip socket. Take a deep breath in and sigh breath out. Turn your left toes out on a diagonal line and then step the right foot beside your pinky finger, re-squat from Malasana. Use your arms to drive your knees open. Squeeze your shoulder blades onto your back. The rhomboids will fire. Those are the muscles between the shoulder blades. And you can either keep your hands in prayer or fold your fingers into the palms of the hands. And with your thumbs still exposed, raise your hands, your thumbs up to the sky. This is a mudra that releases or relinquishes ego. And when we clear out the ego, we shore up space for our wisdom to come through, for our wisdom to direct us, to course correct, to move us along. Exhale your hands down to the floor mat. Preparing for crane pose, walk your feet closer to one another. Place your knees as high into the backs of the arms as you can get them. And then allow for weight distribution to move into your hands, which are set at shoulder width. And then play with lifting one or both feet from the floor. Eventually the arms become more and more straight again. Eventually the toes will press up against each other. And then from there, step or shoot your feet back. Move through your sun salutation, meeting in downward facing dog. Find a firm grip of your hands and finger pads on the floor mat. Pull in your belly, raise your heels, inhale. And bend your knees like loaded springs. Exhale, look forward and then hop to kick your own butt, heels towards bum. When you land down, you're gonna land quiet, 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 so the neighbors can't hear you below. After a few hops, or more if you want, step or float your feet forward and fold. From your forward fold, reset your feet to pelvis width apart. And either take your peace fingers back to big toes for Padangustasana, or step your feet onto the palms of the hands. The toes tickle the inner wrists. Padahastasana. Once again, use your arms to gradually pull your spine down towards the ground. Let your jaw hang so the teeth aren't riding up against each other, bottom from top. Take a deep breath in and sigh your breath out. Let go of your feet. Fold down. And then inhale, reverse swan dive, stand up. Hands go to sky. Press your pelvis forward a little to release the hip flexors. Good. Re-reach your hands into the sky. Inhale. Fold down. Exhale. Now chair pose, bend the knees, sit the hips, raise the arms above the head. Step your feet in so the knees and the feet are up against each other, and then bring the palms together in front of your heart. Take a spinal twist to the left. Hook your right elbow outside of your knee. Keep the belly gripped in and slowly pick up your right heel. And then pick up your right toes. Take a slow, long step through the airspace behind you and land your toes to the back of the mat for twisted lunge pose. If you happen to land short in the stance, take your hands down to readjust the length of your stance. So left knee is over heel, right heel is over top of toes, and have your torso off of your front thigh as you make the spiral rotation in your backbone. Keep gripping your left hip back and in so that you can feel your knee pressing against your elbow. Inhale, rise to high lunge, pose steady legs. Warrior 2, exhale your breath. Inhale, straighten your left leg and raise your left arm to the sky. Exalted triangle. Have your right hip cocked up. This will help to open the left side waist more. And without having the knee locked, compress down with your left big toe mount. Feel the left hip gripping to keep your knee pointing forward, and then reach forward as far as you can. Once you can't reach anymore, just hang down your left arm and raise your right arm to the sky. So have a feeling that your spine is suspended in the air rather than curving in the air, rather than leaning down. Focus on breath. Feel the sensations as they arise and let them pass through. Next inhale brings you up to warrior 2. Exhale, windmill your right hand to the floor mat for side plank pose. You can simply step your left foot back to stack on the inside of the right, or peace finger grip your left big toes and kick your foot into the sky. So it's like doing triangle pose, it's just turned on its side. Either way, the foot or 2 feet that are at the back of the mat, keep the ankles rigid to help fire the smaller stabilizer muscles of the legs. Return to plank. And exhale, lower chaturanga. Upward dog, breathe in, shoulders back. Downward facing dog, breathe out. From your downward dog, raise your right foot into the air. Keep the downward dog shape, but fold your right leg tight into your gut. So the heel is up by your bum. The back will round a little like cat pose, but don't let the shoulders crawl forward too much. Raise your left heel, your butt's up, and now half step your right foot forward to a walking stride stance. Hands to hips, rise up, stand up. So be sure that the feet aren't sharing a common line, but they're split as though you're standing in cross-country ski tracks. Hold in the navel, reach up through the roof of the head, and then from the pelvic bowl, tilt your way forward to bow, Parsvottanasana. Direct more of the right ribs over top of the right leg versus the center of the belly. Then the hands could remain on the hips, or walk your hands down the front leg or to the floor. But feel that the right hip keeps reaching up, keeping it squared with the left. Deep breath in. And sigh out. Return your hands onto your hips. And slowly stand all the way up. Step into your right foot to balance. Point your left knee forward. And then hold on to the front of the shin or the back of the thigh. Use both hands to squeeze the leg bone in. And then open for tree pose. You can place your foot to the inner right thigh, the inner right shin, or the inner right ankle. But really assert your foot against your leg and your leg against your foot. Raise your hands. Even if it makes you feel wobbly, do it anyways. If you fall, you just stand back up again. Now either stay in tree pose or take your left peace fingers to your left big toe. I like to wrap my right arm behind my back to help keep the left hip settled down. And then work your left leg as straight as you can make it without slouching forward, and swing your leg off to the side, to the left. Utthita Hasta Padangustasana. Good. Return the legs as pointing straight forward. Kick it forward. And then slowly set your foot to the top of the mat, back in a walking stride stance. Hitch your right hip up into the sideline of your waist and raise your right heel. And then the right toes. Tip slowly into airplane pose without breaking at the right hip. So imagine your right leg and the spine are fused as one single bone. Keep it straight. You'll feel your left glutes working the more square your hips are maintained. And so this helps to strengthen into the glute min and med and bring pelvic stability into your body. Slowly, with faith in yourself, take your fingertips to the floor, just out ahead of your left foot. And bend the lifted leg, the right leg, so the heel drops towards your butt, and start to roll your right hip open while pressing your left hip to the right. The hips gradually become more stacked. To add in here, take your right hand to your hip and start to stack your shoulders. Add in again by straightening your right leg, toes pointed to the right. And then eventually your right hand into the sky, Ardha Chandrasana, the half moon pose. Steady. Breathing. Slowly take your right fingers back to the floor and square your hips. Carefully step your right foot to the back of the mat. Run your left arm inside of your left leg. And then hold the back of your left heel with your thumb and pointer finger. Pull the hips back to snuggle as much of your left arm and shoulder behind your left leg as possible. And then just settle in there. So the thigh is running up beside the ribs. Chest is humble and down. You can either stay here or flatten your left palm onto the floor. So you have a firm grip of your palms on the mat. And then practice raising your left heel like you're in a high-heeled shoe, and then work at kicking your left foot forward and away from you. The elbows bend like chaturanga arms. Eventually, the right foot lifts from the mat, Kundalini-asana. From where you're at, step or float your feet back. Cycle through your sun salutation, plank, chaturanga, upward dog, and back to downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in. Sigh your breath out. Raise your heels, bend your knees, and slowly sink down into child's pose. Have the knees split so the belly can rest down inside the thighs. And then give a break to your shoulders, to your wrists by taking them back beside the legs towards the ankles. Just rest here, dissolving down into the mat. Deep breath in. Sigh again. Offload. Take your hands out in front of you. Inhale, ride to kneeling plank, and exhale, downward facing dog. From downward dog, raise your heels, bend your knees, spring forward, float forward, and fold top of mat. Half lift, breathe in, and fold on down, breathe out. Bring the feet together, the knees together, come into chair pose, inhale. Hands to heart center, squeeze the shoulder blades on the back, and then spinal twist to the right. Keep your knees side by side so that you learn how to fire the core. Make one straight line with the 2 forearms and raise your sternum up towards the thumbs. Steady on your right foot, pick up your left heel, and then the left toes like a flamingo. Slow step through space. Land your left toes at the back of the mat. Twisted lunge pose. Remember, adjust your stance if you land short. Pull in the stomach. Give it clearance from stomach to thigh. Keep the chest lifted. Make a strong, long diagonal line from left heel to hip to left armpit, right up to your left ear. And roll the right ribs open. Inhale, high lunge pose. Exhale, warrior 2, set the left foot sideways. From there, straighten your right leg and take your right hand to the sky, exalted triangle pose. The right leg is straight and strong, but it's not locked out. And reach forward with your torso. You'll feel the angle of the right hip closing, the hip crease closing. Dangle down your right arm, take left hand to the sky, like open span wings. Let the hips be on a slight diagonal line with left hip closer to left wall, but the torso is turning sideways. The left ribs are rolling open. Keep holding the right hip back and in to help keep the right knee corrected forward. Breathe in and breathe out. Return to warrior 2 on your inhale breath. Exhale, windmill your left hand to the mat. Stick it down. Side plank pose, Vashisthasana. Option for variation, holding the right big toe with the right peace fingers. Kick your foot into the sky. Breathing. Slowly set yourself back to plank. Inhale, shoulder blades on back. Exhale, chaturanga. Upward dog, raise your chest. Long breath in. And exhale, pick up your hips, downward facing dog. From downward dog, lift your left foot. Fold your left leg tight into your belly, hips in the sky, still maintaining the down dog shape, but the right heel lifts up. Exhale, step your left foot halfway forward, walking stride stance. The feet plug down, rise up to stand. Hold the hands down onto the hips and raise your spine out, up and out of the pelvic bowl. Even feel your armpits hollow up. Shoulders back, belly in. Slowly hinge forward, cast your chest forward, bowing into Parsvottanasana. Be watchful that the knee doesn't disappear in a locked position and that the toe ends don't start to whiten due to gripping down, but instead push into big toe mound so that inner lines of the legs fire. Soften your toes. Maybe the hands walk down the leg, maybe they end up on the floor, maybe not. Deep breath in. Sigh breath out. Good. Exhale, hands to hips. And inhale, come up to stand. Pressure into your left foot, step to balance, the right knee bent and pointing forward. Harness the grip around the right shin or thigh and squeeze in. Feel the back of your right glute heavy. Vrikshasana, tree pose. Point your knee out to the right. The foot and the standing leg pin firmly against each other. The belly pulls in just enough that the tailbone gets heavier, it points down. This brings your spine into its natural length, maintaining the natural curves. Raise your arms. Focus your eyes on a drishti point, a still spot, probably on the floor, somewhere out in front of you. Helps to build the concentration. Maintain your eyes locked on that spot and either hold your tree or reach down for big toe grip around right toes. Work your right leg as straight as you can without slouching and then swing it open. Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. Remain sincere in your breath despite the stillness of the posture. Guide the leg forward, kick forward, and step your right foot to the top of the mat back in walking stride stance. Rehold the hands onto the hips. Feel the left leg pull up into the side of the waist. Raise left heel and then left toes. Keep your hands held onto the hips to monitor that the hips remain level so that you're certainly strengthening and firing the right glute muscles. Feel the inner left thigh roll up, the outer left hip roll down. Feel your breath. Bring your fingertips to the floor. Bend your left knee, the lifted one, and roll it open so the left hip stacks on top of the right. And again, send your right hip to the left. It will give you a little bit more. Next layer, bring left hand to hip, stack your shoulders, chest facing left. Next layer, straighten the left leg while ankle remains flexed. And then finally, the full expression of the pose is left hand in the sky. With time, the weight in the right fingertips becomes less and less until one day the right hand leaves the floor entirely. It might not be today. Take your time to bring left fingers back to the floor and be very slow about squaring left hip with right hip, and return your left toes to the back of the mat, lunge pose. Set down your left knee, walk your right arm inside of right leg, And then hold on to the back of your heel. Work as much of your shoulder and arm underneath your right leg by pulling the hips back and dipping the chest down. I love this hip opener. I hope you do too. Stay with it, or work on the arm balance, flattening your right palm onto the mat beside your right foot. And then attempting for Kundalini on the second side, lift your right heel, putting on your other high-heeled shoe. Kick your foot away while pressing the right leg down onto your arm. Raise left knee and then left foot, bending your elbows and lowering your chest closer towards the floor. From there, step or float your feet back. Plank, chaturanga, upward dog, and back to downward facing dog. Deep breath in and sigh your breath out. Exhale, bring your knees down onto the floor mat. Return to a wide-kneed child's pose. Nuzzle the ribs down inside the thighs. Forehead pressing to earth. Body heavy. Breath still strong. Deep breath in and fog your exhale out. Sit up onto your knees. And then crossing over your ankles, sit back behind your feet and kick your legs out ahead of you. Step your right foot over your left leg. And then holding onto the knee and to the heel, work your heel back beside your left glute. And then fold your fingers together like a basket weave and brace them against the right bent knee. Keeping your spine up tall, resist your knee and hands against each other and feel for a hip opener. It may or may not be there depending on what the current condition of your hips are. If you can lower your right knee without inducing any pain, set your right knee on top of your left leg. And then very slowly work on tilting forward into fold. And with each degree of forward fold, feel how the sensation of the pose shifts in your body. It's important here to keep the left ankle flexed so the heel is pushing away and the top of the foot's pulling back. It further elongates the line of the back of the left leg. For me, I feel this in my left hip and sometimes even in the left low back. Soften into the pose. Soften into the sensation. Be breathing. Good. Rise back upright. Full Gomukhasana. Fold your left leg back so the heel is by the right glute. If your knees don't rest on top of each other comfortably, then keep holding your knee and keep in an upright posture. Otherwise, play with leaning back and leaning forward. And again, just note how the sensation shifts from weight going towards the back of the mat versus torso weight going towards the front of the mat. Okay, rise up out of that. Unravel your legs and kick them up into the sky, Navasana. The fingers can remain on the floor behind you to support, but keep your chest high, shoulders back. The legs can be as far near the mat as you need them to be. Either way, you're going to get a core workout. Return your feet to the floor. Grip your hands to your shins. Lean your chest forward in between the thighs. Straighten out your right leg and step your left foot outside of it. Guide your heel beside your right glute. And again, brace your hands around your left knee. Resist the knee and the hands against each other while sending the spine high and tall. Driving the sit bones down. Stay put or let the left knee descend onto your right leg. So the knees are on top of one another. Gradually start to tilt the pelvis forward to fold, not skipping any steps along the way, but let each piece of movement work on the body. Deep breath in and sigh your breath out. Soften. Okay, make your way back upright. Bend your right leg so the heel is back by opposite glute. Gomukhasana legs, knees stacked. Play with the backward lean and the forward lean, or no lean at all. Sometimes just sitting upright is enough. There seems to be this tendency that has been trained into our brain somehow that more is more. In reality, sometimes the most simple of expressions of the pose brings the most potency into the practice. And when we force ourselves into further depths of a pose before we're ready for it, it can turn the pose from medicine into poison. So watch your dosage and adapt accordingly. Okay, coming back upright. Untangle your legs, sending them back into the sky, Navasana, boat pose, and try to press the big toe mounds against each other and feel how that fires the inner lines of the legs. Sternum lifted, breath lifted. Holding, and then set your feet down into the floor. Let the knees split to the left and to the right, and with the soles of the feet together, you make a diamond shape with your legs. So have your feet set further away from the pelvis so that you can slouch forward in this pose. Full surrender. And if it's too strenuous to slouch forward, use a block as a wedge between your body and the ground. That might be to the belly, the chest, or to the forehead. There shouldn't be any pain or strain here. Just let go. It's a restorative approach to Baddha Konasana. Breathe into the back of your ribs and sigh out. Make your way up to seated. Use your hands to gather the knees in. And with your feet placed on the floor, place your hands behind you so the fingers are pointing towards your heels. They're set shoulder width apart. And provided you don't have existing shoulder trauma or shoulder trauma that bothers you, raise your hips from the floor. The eyes look up at the sky. If you do have shoulder trauma, do the same pose, just lifting the chest though, not the butt from the ground. Bring your tush back down to the mat and then lie down onto the mat. Happy baby is next. Keep your sacrum sealed onto the floor. So when you put your feet up into the sky for this pose, you might not be able to grip onto your feet. You might have to grip onto the hamstrings or the calf muscles so that the back can stay laid out on the mat. You could stay still here or work on kicking one leg straight diagonally off to the side and then swapping sides. You could be rocking side to side. You could be pulling one leg closer to the floor and then alternating side to side. Eventually, as you see here, both legs could kick straight, making a V shape in the reclined posture. Gather the feet back in, soles of the feet together. Let the sacrum lift and raise your head, maybe tucking your head behind your feet. Return your feet back to the mat. Have them positioned mat width apart. Take a slow turn of your knees. Fall them to the right, like windshield wipers. Chin to the left. Stay here, or take your right heel and just snag it to the outside of your left knee. I love how this posture allows all the muscles around the midsection to neutralize and soften. I think it's the perfect prep for Shavasana, which is coming up really soon. Release and swap sides. Knees fall to the left, and your left heel could just snag the right knee. Good. Return the legs back up. Crawl the feet down your mat. Straighten out your legs. Shavasana. Let the legs be limp so the toes fall open left and right. The palms face up. Sheet your eyelids closed with your eyelids. Drop your jaw so the bottom teeth are away from the upper teeth. One more deep breath in. Feel expansive through the heart, the lungs, the belly. Sigh out, empty. Strain everything down into the ground. Stir your body back by moving your toes and your fingers first. And rolling your ankles and your wrists. Take a slow turn in one direction or the other for a fetal position. A moment to pause here and feel the shifts of your practice. When ready, press back up to seated, eyes closed, hands at heart center. Give a bow of your head to your heart. And raise thumbs to third eye center. A gracious bow to the path that lies ahead. For all the lessons it has given you, all the strength that it holds. Namaste.